Alright, we're back with another home and property episode, and this time I have JJ back with me again. You all should know him. I don't need to introduce him really, but his details are down here if you need to contact him. This time we want to answer a question on our previous episode because a lot of people ask about the owner-occupier scheme, how to even own one HDB and condo. Is that even possible or not? So this is what we will explore in this video, all the terms and conditions and whether you should do it even if you can do it. So I think first and foremost, we need to respond with a very clear answer. Should you even go for the owner and occupier scheme? Okay, the answer is can, but should you or not? I think for JJ, would you even do it?
Okay, I think it's a great question, and I think at the end of the day, it all boils down to your purpose, your needs, as well as whether you are willing to sacrifice certain things in life. So for me personally, I did not buy under one owner, one occupier. Me and my wife, we are both owners, and that is not because I don't want to do it, but it's because when I applied for my BTO, I think got like 4 or 5 years ago, at that time, if we were to do that, right, it will be very stretching on our finances because it's early career, like at that time I was early 20s. Yeah, you were early career, and if you do one owner, one occupier, essentially your loan amount plus your CPF usage is only one person. It's only one person. That means the other party, who is the essential occupier, you cannot touch the CPF, and the income will not be considered in the loan calculation. So that means you're essentially buying one house with one person's income, which can be quite financially stretching for people in their 20s.
Yeah. So this is a quick overview of JJ's background and context. But I think some of you don't even understand this whole thing. So let's bring back to explain this owner-occupier scheme again, right?
Okay.
So how you want to do it is that the structure is on your first HDB appointment when you want to select your flat, the officer will probably ask you something like how you want to structure the ownership kind of thing. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, and then that's where you say, okay, I want to be the sole owner, then I want to let my partner be the essential occupier.
Okay, so why this is important is because HDB has eligibility criteria and conditions. That means you cannot shuk go and buy HDB, and you definitely have to fit into one of the schemes. So like family scheme or single scheme. So like there are many schemes for different people lah. So the reason why there is this different ownership structure is because maybe you are buying under one family nucleus. That means a couple, right? That means you cannot put only a sole owner. There needs to be an essential occupier or either two owners. That is the make of the schemes and the what they call family nucleus. Okay, so owner-occupier is actually not a scheme per se. It is just a manner of ownership. Yeah. So one of the key reasons why people do this is because of this thing in Singapore known as ABSD, Additional Buyer's Stamp Duty. So for residential property, if you are a Singaporean and you buy a second residential property, you'll be slapped with this very hefty tax known as ABSD. Therefore, you cannot invest in property, or rather the investment returns wouldn't make much sense. However, if you activate this owner-occupier kind of structure, what you can do is have one person own the HDB flat and the other person's name will actually be free to purchase the private residential property for investment purposes after the 5 years MOP period. Means you cannot do at once, must still clear MOP.
Correct. So it doesn't mean that the essential occupier can go about and buy the private property or even foreign overseas property, because the essential occupier's name is still locked in that same property of that owner. So let's be very clear, this is not a decoupling. I know some people put these terms as decoupling because that is only used in like private property. Okay, so maybe JJ, you explain what is decoupling and why is this thing not considered decoupling?
Okay, so decoupling cannot exist in HDB. So decoupling works like this. Say today, we go and buy a house as a couple and both of our names are inside the house as owners. Decoupling is that, say after 3 years or 5 years, we are like, oh, okay, I actually want to free up one name. Then we can go through the process of decoupling, aka my wife sells her share of the property to me. Yeah, that process is known as decoupling to get her name out of the house. But this cannot happen for HDB. So for example, my situation, both me and my wife are co-owners. That means forever, we will not be able to take any one of our names out of the house unless we sell the house entirely.
Correct. So this is why I need to emphasize again, for those people who are throwing the term decoupling, it is the wrong term, and HDB should not be and cannot be used for.
Yeah. If you do that, HDB will definitely come after you.
Okay, so let's come back to this question on why people do it. Like you said, the fundamental reason is to avoid ABSD. But why people want to own two properties in the first case? I think one very important reason we should talk about is that they want to have an investment property. And a lot of these stories, property success stories that you heard on the net, like buy one, sell two, right? But in this case, when your first step is correct, you are already trying to buy one and then the other case own another one 5 years down the road when you fulfill the MOP. So this is a strategy that some people want to take. They know that they are able to afford two properties, one HDB, one condo in the future. But I think let's boil down to this thing about financial calculations. Does it really make sense? Because from what JJ shared earlier in this video, mentioned that it is not as financially comfortable as you may think. So this time around, we'll go into the details. So maybe JJ, let's go through some of these financial considerations that you may have and in greater detail that from someone who should not consider this kind of owner-occupier scheme.
I think the first thing is that as long as you go for owner-occupier, you have to understand that the owner has to be able to finance the property himself or herself. Yeah, so one thing that is being considered, right, is that so the first thing is you finance the property yourself. It's already quite hard considering how expensive houses are these days. But the more challenging part comes after the 5 years MOP. Because don't forget, your goal is to go and buy a private property after that, which is usually even more expensive. So the question is, should the person who is the spouse making less income own the HDB, or should it be the other way around? Because that is a discussion that you need to have with your spouse. That is where the stress comes.
Yeah. Correct. So usually people do it if they are both high earning earners, right? Is that the lower income person go and be the owner first, right? The first owner. Even higher earning spouse become the next owner for the private property.
Yeah.
In that way, they are more secure about financing the property. But in many cases, two dual income people, they come and finance this property also not easy already. We are looking at 700,000 from 4-room BTOs nowadays in mature estates. So you see, you look at the monthly installment, 2,000 plus. If one person is paying, it's quite a lot though.
Yeah, it is really not easy. That being said, there is actually not many people in the market that can execute this comfortably. Unless you are really a high income earner and you can do it very comfortably. And even if you are relatively above average, right, there are sacrifices that need to be made. Like you very unlikely will be able to enjoy a good car. You very unlikely will be able to enjoy, like very consistent holidays because all your money will go into the house.
Yeah. And maybe some of you have not even considered opportunity cost like we always go through. Okay, so let's say if you can finance a property very comfortably, even having a lot of savings, but what if you are just that one person financing the property and then your other half lose the job? So a lot of things can come in a very bad shape that you may not even imagine, like layoffs, recession, and all that. You don't want to put yourself in that situation, then consider this very carefully. We're not saying it's right or wrong though.
I think the emotional considerations is one part also. Because if only one person's name is in the property, maybe the spouse might not feel very comfortable.
Yeah, which brings us to the second topic, which is ownership issues. Right? Because like we always said, men and women come together, form a family, and we have a family unit, we have a home, matrimonial home, we have ownership to it. But some of us people, we are not comfortable with this idea, with one spouse just owning that property and then the other one not owning it. So maybe you don't have a problem with it, but your friends and family have a problem, or even your relatives speak ill about it. Yeah, so a lot of things you really cannot control one. Maybe JJ, you can share about these kind of ownership issues, right? What would really happen in the case of an unfortunate event, like if once the spouse who is the owner passes away, or different cases have a divorce, separation of marriage kind of thing. What will happen to that ownership?
So when it comes to passing away, actually that is not a very big concern, because if you have your will drafted and everything, the distribution of assets will be following your will. So actually that's very easy. But even if you don't have a will, in Singapore, in law, there's this thing known as the Intestate Succession Act, which basically has a predetermined table of what asset go to who, 50% to the spouse, 50% to the remaining parents, or stuff like that. So you don't actually have to worry even if the other party's name is not in the house. I think the part where some people might feel uncomfortable is if the marriage doesn't turn out very well, then how would that work?
Yeah, and correct, it's a valid concern because now you're not just staying 5 years in the MOP, you're including the years of construction. Yeah. So you're basing your relationship on your very first HDB appointment on the fact that you can live through the building under construction years plus the MOP. That is like 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Do you know that Webull is one of the most competitive platforms for trading US stocks and ETFs? And here are 3 positive features of Webull. Number 1, low commissions. Webull charges as low as 50 US cents commission per order during regular and extended hours with 0 platform fees, one of the lowest fees in the market. Number 2, no foreign exchange fees. Webull does not charge any foreign exchange fees. The rates you see on Webull app are exactly what you get when you perform currency exchange. And number 3, regular savings plan. Dollar cost average your favorite US stocks, ETFs and mutual funds at your own pace. Start from investing as low as $5 by using your buying power, and you can schedule your order to be executed every trading day, week, 2 weeks or every month. For new to Webull users, there are welcome promo rewards. Fund a minimum of $2,000, complete 3 US buy trades and maintain until 30th September 2024, and you can get $60 of cash vouchers. If you fund minimum $10,000, complete 5 US buy trades and maintain until 31st October 2024, you can get $400 worth of cash vouchers. And if you fund a minimum of $100,000, you can get 1.84% per annum USD Moneybull interest booster for 90 days, capped at $100,000 subscription. And this reward could elevate your USD Moneybull interest to up to 7%. There is also an options trading promo for both new and existing users, where if you trade a minimum of 100 US options contract monthly, the fees will be reimbursed when you fulfill the criteria. Also, Webull does not charge platform fees. Start trading with Webull by using my exclusive link or scan the QR code right here to get your Webull account today.
Yeah. But I think when it comes to these things, there are many, really many variations of situations lah. So when two people are unhappy, they get a divorce, then usually the court will decide, and then you just have to follow the court order. Through the different many variations of issues, like we really cannot predict what's going to happen 8 to 10 years. So I think what's most important in terms of the ownership is to really sit down with your spouse and kind of ensure that they are on the same page.
Correct. And one more thing I want to talk about, because most of you are coming from the angle of Singapore couple. What if you're a Singaporean and PR couple, which is getting more and more common nowadays? So you don't even have a choice, right? The Singaporean owner must be the sole owner plus the essential occupier being the PR spouse. So this is one thing. And it comes back to this income question. When the Singaporean spouse is assuming to earn higher, then can the PR spouse actually earn more to buy the private property after the 5 years MOP? So that is some concerns that you have to think about lah.
I think another thing is that if you are a Singaporean and foreigner couple, by default, right, have to buy it as one owner and one essential occupier, because the foreigner's name cannot be owning a HDB.
Yes, correct.
So there's this scheme known as the non-resident spouse scheme, which I'm quite familiar with because I have a lot of clients. I know Singaporeans keep marrying foreigners, so I have quite a lot of clients who go through this, and one of the things I share with them is that by default, right, they are one owner, one occupier. So if eventually the foreigner becomes Singaporean, then naturally they can execute this. They have no choice.
That's an interesting thing.
Right. Because, I mean, you see it as very stressed, it's a very negative thing. But if you think about it, it's like, okay, you are just forced to do this. Then in the future, if both of your income keep increasing, then you benefit from it.
Okay, so we shared so many things, so many reasons and discussion. I think what the audience really want to know is how to even do it, how to execute this idea of owning one HDB plus one condo in a legal and reasonable manner. Which is what we should cover today. Right.
So actually, we are in this very nice executive apartment that is under this one owner and one occupier owned by my friend and colleague Aaron Teo. So I personally did not go through this. So why don't we just hear it from the horse's mouth on like how exactly he go through? Because I think apart from the financials that we talk about, right, the whole emotional roller coaster and stress of doing it, right, is something that a lot of people overlook. So why don't we get my friend Aaron to give a share?
Let's welcome Aaron.
Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, thanks for having me on the channel and welcome to my house.
Correct. It's first time Aaron's appearing on my channel and first time in this beautiful executive apartment.
Thank you.
So I think we have a few questions for Aaron today, how to really execute this scheme, because you're someone who has been there, done that. And I think a lot of audiences who are preparing for their first home, they just want to know how to do it so that they don't, make mistakes and then somehow screw up. Let's give a very objective take of how to do it.
Okay, so basically, I think the number one thing you need to know is what is the reason? Why is the reason you're doing this? Because technically, you can buy HDB under like husband and wife, just buy together. No? You don't need to buy under one name. Why make yourself so difficult and go through the trouble? So if you are very certain that you want to do this, then I think it's something you can consider. So for myself, me and my wife Cheryl, we were very sure that we wanted to own one property each. But yet at the same time, we did not want to compromise on the space. Reason is because we have 3 kids. In 2 weeks' time, my 4th one is on the way already. So we're currently staying in an executive apartment. This is a 148 square meter home with 4 bedrooms. 4 kids, 2 of me and my wife, 6 of us, plus my helper and mom-in-law. That's 8 of us staying in the house. So we really value space. Do we value space more than capital appreciation? I would say yes at this juncture, but we also want to have capital appreciation. So that's why we decided to buy a HDB under one name. Yep.
Okay, maybe walk us through the step if someone wants to do it right now.
Okay. So I shared with you that you must understand that why you want to do it. Next thing, very importantly, is the financials. Because I think you guys already mentioned that basically you need to understand that you need to finance this house under one name. And if you are able to do it, then fantastic. I feel personally, you should do it because it gives you an opportunity to invest in another property next time. Because there's a saying in Singapore, 是不怕没有钱，是怕没有名字啊. You scared you no name to put. So by freeing up somebody's name in 5 years' time, it gives you the opportunity to invest in a property if you need to or if you want to.
Maybe let me jump in right here. Because you all may think that Aaron is a property agent, that he's just here to show property. But maybe let me come in from an objective point.
Okay.
I think you want to have the option. You may not want to execute it, but you want to keep this name open. Because what's to say 5 years later, some of you already made it, you all got some speculation and got rich because of something, and you all want to have this option, but you all have no name. Then how? So this is why we should be objective. It's not like we are trying to push the property market prices to the tip top already. But we just want to be available to have the freedom to choose. And this is what the idea of the video today, to explore options that we may not even know of.
One question that a lot of people have is that at what point do you need to tell HDB that you want to do one owner, one essential occupier? Is it when you're bidding for the BTO? Is it when you pay the option fee for the resale flat? At which point do you need to tell HDB, I want one owner, one occupier?
Okay, so this really depends if you're buying a BTO or a resale property.
Okay, so for the BTO, right, you have to discuss with your spouse before you go down. So after you get the queue number, they will let you know your appointment date. During the first appointment, you can already let the HDB officer know that you want one owner and one essential occupier. Because if you don't, they will ask you anyways. So they won't ask you whether you want one owner, one essential occupier. They will ask you both of you co-owners, something like that. So if you say, no, I want to be one owner, one occupier, you have to let them know who is the owner, who is the occupier, and then they will proceed accordingly with the administrative work on that one. But for resale, maybe Aaron, you can share because you actually went through it yourself.
Okay, so basically if you're buying a resale property, right, it starts at the very beginning where you option for the unit because your name needs to be placed inside the OTP. OTP is option to purchase. So at the very start, you must tell the seller or the seller agent that I'm buying under one name, we're a married couple, but only put either your name or your spouse's name only. Then they'll be like, huh? But then, some of them will be like, well, how come but you're married? Because not many people know about this. But by the way, this is legal. So once you do that, the OTP will have one name. So when you fill out the OTP, actually HDB doesn't know what's happening on it. Because this is just an agreement between you, buyer, and seller. But HDB will be notified at the point of submission. When you give the $1,000, you option. After that, 3 weeks later, or within 3 weeks, you exercise. After that, when you submit the documents to HDB, just remember that you need to follow what you have placed in the OTP, one name. Then you put your spouse as the occupier. So that is at the point where HDB will be notified and they will process accordingly. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very great walkthrough because some of you, you're looking at so many homes already, very tired. You all don't even know this kind of thing exists. Yeah, so I think it's very good education now. We have a sharing from a real life case example from Aaron. So maybe my question to Aaron is that what plans do we have after this executive apartment and your wife owning the property? What are your next steps?
Okay, so basically, we will enjoy this space for the next many years, but during this 5 years is the crucial period for anybody, because this 5 years, and you must understand, in 5 years' time, my wife's name will disappear from this property, and then she'll be eligible to buy a private property with no ABSD. And at the end of the day, each of us will own one property each lah. Okay, so this 5 years is crucial because you need to save up and you need to plan. Because if in 5 years, although my plans is I'm given 5 years to save up, will I buy a 1-bedder condo? Maybe not. 2-bedder, maybe not. I will start at least a 3-bedder onwards. I would like to buy something a little bit bigger. For my case, the bigger the better. For example, if everything goes very well, I work super hard, my wife, everything super gao, then maybe, just maybe, in 5 years' time, we review this video again. We buy a landed property under Cheryl's name. And my family can move over to the landed property. Then we rent out the HDB, no? Because we need the room, we need the space, ma. If everything goes well, we can do that. Maybe we buy a 4-bedder, a 3-bedder condo, I don't know. But then at that point of time, then we can rent out that property also. So it gives you the option to choose where you want to live at that point of life, or which property you can use to flip and invest. I think that's the beauty of this idea lah. But it's not easy to execute because JJ has explained already that it requires one person to take the loan, 1% CPF. Not easy lah. But if you can do it, I think it's something to consider lah.
Definitely worthwhile explore this idea and talk with your spouse, because we have discussed a lot of things about financial ownership, obligations and all that. I think finally to the closing, right? I'm not sure if you all are allowed to share like some clients' experiences on this kind of owner-occupier scheme.
Okay, so you guys have to understand that what Aaron shared just now, right? Wow, like go and buy landed property is really very difficult because the quantum is insane. So unless you work freaking 24 hours a day like Aaron, don't see one, right? I think it's really very tough lah. So a lot of our clients, what they actually do is that, in one of the previous episodes, we actually discussed about this thing called the property ladder. Yeah. Right? You flip. So one of the things that I personally don't like is to flip the property that you are staying in, because that means that every 3 years you have to move. Every 3 years you move is very tiring. So what a lot of our clients actually do, if they do this one owner, one occupier, is that the investment property, they keep flipping because they're not staying there, so it doesn't matter. Assuming they're buying brand new, even before TOP, right? After the 3 years SSD period is over, they can flip already, next condo, right? And then you don't have to compromise on your lifestyle. You can stay in your very nice HDB. The value don't go up. The value just maintain. Actually also okay, because you're already flipping your 2-bedder condo, 1-bedder condo, 3-bedder condo, flip. Then at the end of your life, you want to retire 60 years old, then everything sell. Go apply for your second PTO or something like that. That's what a lot of people do.
Correct. But then we have this another topic for another day, is the owner-occupied property tax, which some of you may prefer to stay in the private property because of taxes and all that. But we will not go into that topic today lah. Okay, so thank you everyone. I think this is really great sharing by both JJ and Aaron, who are already experienced in the property, and then I'm just a new homeowner lah. I'm just here to listen to what they have to say. So if you really have any questions, leave down in the comments below. Look for JJ, look for Aaron. I'll post their details right there in the description as well. And I'll see you in the next property and home video.